was okay because the information was online. I mean, even I with
know.
my 10-meter swimming badge is the closest I've got to a legal
But we did all of the
qualification.
bad stuff overseas, Darian.
Yeah.
Get out of my court. No, yeah.
Hello, Discorders.
Yeah, we forgot to. So we were mid discussion, and then Darren just said, "I'm just going to make it live," and then continued on the conversation.
Oh, sorry, it's only a couple of minutes too, and I realised people on Discord were saying, "Where are we? What's going on?" So I thought, we'd better reassure them that we are here. And it's very rude for us to talk and not include them.
No, of course.
At all times. Come and join us for our annual meal.
I mean, I literally don't speak to you guys except on this, really.
Roche, don't break the illusion. Everyone thinks that even though we're using Zoom, we're all not really Zoom,
even though we're separated by 200 miles.
Yeah, we all live in one big
house. Yes. Can you imagine?
Yeah. God, I'm just now.
Can I tell you what? I think I would be the wild card because everyone would think, "Oh, I bet she's tidy." And bookshelf.
Yeah.
No.
Who's the tidiest out of all of us? I reckon probably Barry.
What? Really? I would have had Lee.
Do you think so?
God, yeah.
I don't
Do you
know.
see his spreadsheets on stuff?
Oh, he's very organised. I'm not sure that's the same as tidy. I feel like I haven't been to Barry's house in about 15 years, but last time I was there, I feel like it wasn't super, super tidy, but it was uncluttered. I feel like he doesn't keep crap around in the way that some of us do. That was just my impression.
Although, actually, to be fair, it could be Darian. Certainly not Tim. Let's face it.
It's certainly not me.
That backdrop is a train wreck.
Yes, and it's a constantly changing train wreck.
So I'm deceptive because I have this space which I do not bring any stuff into to work. I think Tim's been to my house once or twice, so he can definitely disabuse you right away of any suggestion that I could be in the running for the title of tidy, let alone tidiest.
I don't remember you being
We
that
should
untidy.
do that,
there are a
though.
lot more guitars per square centimetre than I normally expect.
Yeah, there's a
don't
couple
we
of
do that,
those
though?
in here, but
Yeah, there you go.
That's very tidy.
yeah.
So
Well, this is the empty space. This is intentional. The rest of it is the actual living space is a wreck.
So what were you saying we should do, Rush?
We should go to each other's houses and do the podcast. How much fun would that? Can you imagine if we were sitting live together in each other's house? Like,
It would
obviously,
be.
you wouldn't be in my house and I'd be in your house. We'd all be.
They'll swap houses, just rotate.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, it's a fun vibe when we're together in person because you kind of do get more of a rapport when you've got someone's body language.
Oh, it is definitely easier. It definitely is. But having the video stream is much better than it was when it was purely audio.
Ah, those days.
Those glorious days.
Just like sitting, staring at the wall,
preferred
and
that,
suddenly
I
Tim
think.
would say, "Darian, what do you think?" I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, PC Pro podcast tour. We should get
10 seconds.
sponsorship.
We should.
Anyway,
Come on, man.
Darren's
Are we going to be serious about this? Because, like, I would totally take this show on the road.
Let's discuss for another time.
1 o'clock.
Hello and welcome to the PC Pro podcast. It's 1 p.m. on the 14th of August 2025, the year of our Lord. With me today, I have Darian Graham-Smith.
Hello there.
Hello. And Roche Nithuma. Humor.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Roche. I've had, I don't know, how many, 6 weeks off before since I last spoke your name, so I hope I got that vaguely right.
You're in the ballpark.
Oh, that means no.
We'll move on.
Have you enjoyed your month in France, Roche?
I did. It was lovely, but I was campaigning for an early release. I also love this country. So, I'm glad to be back, but it was nice. Yeah. Oh, except the Wi-Fi was terrible.
Yes, which is why, of course, you couldn't be with us for a whole 4 weeks. You were missed by all of us.
That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
Well, it's also true. So, but don't make me tear up now. That'd be awful. Let's instead talk about ChatGPT. Darian.
Yes, it's been quite a turbulent week for anybody who relies on ChatGPT for any kind of professional purpose. And that's a reasonable number of people. And it happens to be including me because I'm currently working on a non-PC Pro affiliated guide to ChatGPT, which will be coming out later in the year. And everybody was kind of wrong-footed by the sudden arrival of a brand new GPT model, GPT-5, was debuted by Sam Altman. Was it on Friday? It was just after last week's Thursday. It was just after last week's podcast dropped, and he was very, very bullish, as of course he always is. He was saying that this is a big step towards AGI, and it was going to revolutionize this and that. He said it was like talking to a PhD level expert. The less said about which, the better. It's supposedly this new model hallucinates less. It follows instructions more reliably. It's less sycophantic, and therefore it won't just make stuff up so much to hopefully make you happy. It cares a bit more about reliability, and this all sounds fine. But unfortunately, the way they rolled it out was to very abruptly completely withdraw all the existing GPT models, GPT-4o, 4.1 Mini, o3, etc., etc. If that doesn't mean anything to you, then basically just know that when you're using ChatGPT, until last week there was a drop down at the top of the screen, and you could say, I want to talk to, by default, if you're a paying customer, you get GPT 4.5, I think it was, on a 4.0, which is the general purpose one, but you could switch to o3, which is more reasoning based and less languagey, or if you used it too much, you might get switched down to 4.1 Mini, which was still a pretty decent AI, but just didn't have so much sense of context, wasn't so well able to think about deep things. And lots of people and businesses have kind of structured their workflows about finding the AI model that works for them, and knowing reliably and consistently that when you say this to it, it will come back with that. And all of that went out the window. These models were removed completely from the interface. It is suspected that behind the scenes, GPT-5 is still routing things to these models. In fact, one of the big changes seems to be that it can decide whether to use a model that's like o3 or a model that's like 4.0 or one that's like 4.1 Mini for itself, depending on what the question is. And this is all very smart and clever and helpful. But as I say, the way it was rolled out was just an absolute, I don't want to use the word I'm thinking of, so let's just say it was a display of fecal matter. There's massive backlash, unsurprisingly, and they've quickly sort of climbed down and put a little thing in settings now where you can re-enable the model picker. But this itself, I think, is kind of very irritating because it's not in the same place it used to be. It really creates the sense that this is an arbitrary moving target, and it really, now I've complained about Google in the past for doing things like this. It really just makes you think twice about building anything on this platform, which is, I mean, obviously we all know cloud platforms, they're always going to be a little bit, but you can pay $200 a month for the GPT Pro service, which is intended to be, aimed at businesses. And for a business, maybe $200 a month isn't an enormous amount, but it's definitely not nothing. You're not building your business on free tools and, caveat emptor kind of thing. This is a major investment you're making, and the fact that they can just kind of screw it up so completely, so without warning. And I feel like maybe we're not fully at the end of this saga yet. We're only a week in, and there's still a lot of grumbles going on. The latest version of the macOS app has also got a breaking bug in it so that you can't type into it after about 30 seconds. They haven't fixed that yet. It's not good.
Well, let's just talk about the models, because I'm a bit confused. So I'm currently subscribed to Plus, and I've got the auto, where it decides how long to think. I've got the fast for the instant answers, and I've got thinking, which it describes as thinks longer for better answers. And then underneath legacy models, all I've got is GPT-4o. So 3's not there.
This is new. I checked this yesterday, and I had GPT-5 and GPT-5 thinking. Just opened up the app again, and as you say, now I've suddenly got auto fast and thinking. No indication whatsoever that this was going to change. Legacy models has. You're quite right. I researched this yesterday. It was in the settings menu. Now it's only giving me GPT-4o. This doesn't give me any more confidence in OpenAI, I've got to say.
Roche, what do you think about this such quick moving of standards?
So I've come at this story from a completely different angle, which is, people were butthurt that their friend had left them. And so when I saw this, I was like, this is a story as old as time, that people are misusing tools. And I have a great anecdote, and you're going to hear it, and you have to bear with me because it's
I like the way you
the
almost gave us an option at the start then, but basically then said, no, you're just going to hear it.
just plowed
Carry
through,
on,
right?
Roche.
Yeah. So I used to work for an oil company, and there was an incident where a guy used a butter knife like a sonic screwdriver. He was an electrician, and he stuck it in the microwave while the microwave was plugged into the wall, and he died. Now, Darwin Awards is full of, it's just replete with examples of people taking tools that are for one purpose, butter knife, buttering, and then using it in a way in which it was not intended. And I just see this, and people think it's a new story, and I'm like, did you not read the Darwin Awards where someone took a deck chair and balloons full of helium, and then, like, last seen orbiting the space station or something? So yeah, that's the angle I've come at it from, is that there's, people will be people, and they will do people things.
But
It is true. Sorry, Tim.
No, I was only going to say, but do you not think it's slightly different here? As Darren says, if you are using this as a tool, as you've been taught to almost by OpenAI, and you integrate it into your workflow, and then OpenAI changes the tool without really giving you too much notice, and it's not, that seems to me less defensible. Let's put it like that.
Oh, so this is the way I looked at the changes that it made. It is like it's like having a colleague who's gone away and had a growth spurt, but like, not like they're now 2 foot taller. I mean, like, they've gone away, they've done, I don't know, yoga or something, and then they come back and they're fundamental. I used to work with a guy who had the worst temper in the world, and he went off to an anger management, and he came back like Buddha. Like, he was so calm that if I had qualified, I thought I'll do an anger management course one time. And anyway, they never called me back. But,
Did you kick off?
Well, I just told them that I didn't want to be smelling incense and do woo-woo. And I think they thought, oh, probably not for us. Yeah, anyway. So that's what I think. I think that the growth that you're seeing in the terms of the personality change, we see this with people all of the time, and I just don't understand really what the issue is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, part of it is if someone says I'm going off to a yoga retreat, wish me luck kind of thing, then you might be braced for it. But this was a very sudden. I mean, Kultrigaskas does point out on Discord, yes, it's not like OpenAI kept it a secret that they were working on a new version of GPT. It was trailed for years in advance. But the actual arrival of it, I mean, I am a technology journalist, and I only found out after the fact through social media that they had made the announcement and rolled it out that exact same day to everyone. That was a shock. And if you are not keeping close tabs on these things, the first you will have known of it is you will just open up your ChatGPT window or open up your app, and it will be different. And it's different. When I said, I think I was maybe paraphrasing Sam Altman, saying that the new model is less sycophantic, that also manifests as it being less friendly and approachable. So it's really like, you come home to your partner and you start to think they've been replaced by a pod person because they're just abruptly not themselves anymore. And it doesn't really feel like growth so much as something rather more creepy.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And the other parallel I would draw, Roche, and this is me just picking an argument with you, really.
Yeah,
but I mean,
please.
but Word, for example, is a tool, and in every which way. And what has happened is that over the course of 20 odd years, we have seen Word change from a very basic word processor into what we see today, which is obviously a much more fully featured platform almost, but it's still recognizably Word. It could still do the things that we knew it could do before. So do you not think that's what we should expect of these platforms?
God, Gosh, that's like there's a lot of concept stacking there,
Yeah.
Tim. Can I
do
just
my
pick
best.
one?
Yes, by all means.
Okay, so I'll just pick one, which is, do I think that companies have obligations to let us know in advance? To be honest with you, no, I don't, especially when they're improvements. But I think what it does is it speaks to the kind of the unhealthy relationships maybe that we have attached to ChatGPT and this anthropomorphizing of technology and what is like a large language model. I mean, look, ChatGPT, I high five ChatGPT and go, God, that's great work. And, stuff like I treat it like it's a human in many respects, but I'm acutely aware all of the time that, of course, it isn't. And I think the problem that they were seeing, which I think they were right to address and remove that sort of like sycophantic coding, if only we could do it with people, was to like draw it down and to make sure that it was less obsequious and fawning to
Yes.
the users, to create at least the illusion of, not actually the illusion, the distance is real. The previous generation created the illusion that it was friendly. It's not friendly, man. It's just chucking letters
Yeah.
in a certain order. So
It's as friendly as that butter knife was friendly, ultimately, but just in a different. Also, I should just say that talking of old friends reappearing, who has appeared to the left of my screen but Mr. John Honeyball.
Afternoon.
Fresh from a session on your bike, I believe, John. Was that correct?
No, not at all. I was actually in the van.
Oh, well, yeah, that's less glamorous. That's much less hard rock. But nevertheless, you're very well. Thank you for joining us. We're just halfway through the first story about ChatGPT. And so, Darian,
Yes.
is there anything else that you wish to say about ChatGPT 5 at this point?
No, I think in a way, Roche, I mean, I do agree with Roche that maybe it was always a good idea that we should have a little bit of a detachment from our AI assistants. And perhaps this is a bit of a wake-up call in general, just a reminder that, because people have probably since ChatGPT came into prominence, I suspect a large and increasing number of people have built entire livelihoods on it. And it is crucial to remember that it is yet another online service which could change completely without any warning. So you just need to have that built into your business plan. You need to have a redundancy or a backup scenario worked out for the day when it happens again, because we've just seen if it happens once ...
Yes, John.
Have you covered off the spat that's happened in the last 48 hours between Mr. Musk and Mr. ChatGPT?
Sam Altman.
Mr. Sam Altman. Quite a spat on Twitter about, I think it started with Elon claiming that their Grok app never got to the top of the listings in the Apple App Store, and then and basically was claiming that Apple was being biased against Grok, and then people turned around and said, but hold on, they're not biased against these types of tools because others have got to the top of the list. And then Sam Altman waded in, and it just basically turned into a huge West Coast billionaire brofest slanging match, which was really rather undignified, I have to say, on both sides.
The idea that Grok could ever have been number one in the App Store chart, I think, just bespeaks Musk's utter delusional worldview. He really thinks he's so important. But, I mean, it's fine, it's out there. We all know it exists, but I don't think it's anybody's second or third choice of AI.
And also to point out here, I think, is it not also true that that Twitter, XAI, that lot, I keep losing track of what they're calling themselves week by week, but they've just cancelled their custom platform and the custom silicon platform, and they're going to move to wholly NVIDIA based stuff.
Okay, so I'm going to drag the subject back to vaguely cheap. Although I will just say that I thought Elon Musk. You talk about people not being dignified. I thought Elon Musk's post was actually disgraceful. when he says, "You got this," is in reply to Sam Altman complaining. He says, "You got 3 million views on your bullshit post, you liar. Far more than I've received on many of mine, despite me having 50 times your follower count."
He's such a child.
Honestly,
It's
get a
ridiculous.
psychologist looking at that, and I think they come up with all sorts of conclusions.
ChatGPT can actually do quite a good job of role playing a therapist. I've been researching that.
Yes, no, it can. And actually, just that does, thank you, Darren, because that does allow me to just squiggle back to a point I was going to make, which is about our reliance on these AIs as that we personally train and, mold into something that reacts to us. And this is where I wonder, and I'm not sure, but we may actually see this moving to local AI as opposed to cloud-based AI, where it's entirely based by, it's entirely controlled by someone else and you have no control. AMD, I was chatting to Rakesh Anagundi, who's the Director of Product Managing for Ryzen AI at AMD, talking to him last week, and because AMD has released a new version of there's been a software update that basically means that you can run huge local language models directly on Ryzen 9. Their top end mobile chip anyway. Strix Point chip is the Ryzen AI Plus 395. I can't remember. Anyway, the point being that because it can now have access to 96 gigabyte of video shared memory, that means that it can hold these huge models in memory, which is where they need to be. But never mind the technology. The most important thing is that now you can actually train up this model. You can fine tune it to what you need over the course of time, where it actually does become like your personal AI, personal assistant, etc. And so I think that's possibly where we will move, or maybe we will have virtualized instances of our own version that we can control and move from cloud, can move to our computers. Rather than actually having this wholesale reliance on the cloud where we just don't, who knows what could happen there. One day Sam Altman decides to close the company. You've got really no idea. So anyway, I was just trying to very clumsily raise that point of that potentially is what could happen, rather than us just being lackeys to whatever these companies decide to do.
I guess you don't want to talk about AI for the entire podcast, but well, no, it's just, because it's a very interesting thing about ChatGPT is it doesn't store data about you as such. It doesn't learn, you're not kind of composing code. It stores facts about you, and as far as I can make out, plain English, which it then parses on the fly as needed. So if you ask it, what have you learnt about me? It will tell you in very general terms. It doesn't memorize this person said this on this date, and it triggered these tokens. So you can actually, I'm interested in how this might feed into an idea that you would have a capsule of facts about you, which could be somehow protected, or it could be something that you could transport. You could move it between AIs and keep it in a bubble. Obviously, it's probably very apparent that this is the first time thinking of this, but the idea of having AIs that run in different places, because I was sort of thinking, I thought we were moving to a world where you don't need masses and masses of computing power on your desktop. For the past decades, we've been moving towards a lovely thin client future, and now you're sort of suggesting we'll have to run all our AI locally, and it'll pendulum swing back the other way.
No, I'm just saying it's a possible option. So let's say if you are let's say you work for KPMG and there's lots of sensitive data that you do not want to have anywhere sitting on a public server, a public facing server, then actually that becomes very, very useful. And just John, you know far more about this technically than I do, but we've got things like the Docker that allow people to take control now. It's a very well established idea within the enterprise, so it doesn't feel that impossible to me.
I think definitely the whole idea of carrying your stuff with you for your personalized stuff, I think that's a great idea. But there's a couple of points here, of course, one of which is the data that feeds into the changing data that feeds into these models, okay? Because you could view an LLM as basically being a static snapshot of stuff, and then you get it, it's trained on all this enormous amount of data, and then you ask questions through that model. The key point here is, how do you add things onto it, and certainly how do you without having to retrain the whole model, and adding on your personal stuff into a model like this is going to be one of the key points, because of course you don't need a very comprehensive model to handle your email and diary and so forth, and that really is something that can run on your phone, or it should be. That's obviously the plan here. If you want to take a business document you're working on and then pull in research from some big models and so forth, then you need a bigger scale. And I think one problem that we have at the moment, not within the nerd area of this, because people like OpenAI and so forth, they're releasing new models, it seems, almost every 24 hours or so, and they can be big models and little models, and a model with a lemon twist, and a model with a gin and tonic. But the public perception is that this is like a monolithic thing, and it shouldn't be a monolithic thing. It should be a set of scalable things. But until the whole thing kind of settles down to some truly useful thing for the proverbial person on the Clapham omnibus, then they won't have an understanding of this. The interesting point here, of course, is,
which we'll keep brief, of course, John, because it's almost 20 past.
Is that actually you could argue that the person on the Clapham omnibus shouldn't actually understand that they're talking to an LLM or anything like this at all. It should just be stuff that works.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. And we don't get me wrong, we could talk about this easily. God knows how much time we talked about AI on the podcast in the past 2.5 years. But just for now, let's briefly draw a veil over that and take ourselves to a country of which John is far more familiar than I am, which is South Korea. And John, when you were in South Korea, did you see many Starbucks?
No, but no. I don't like Starbucks coffee anyway. And I never liked the Starbucks coffee at their original site in Seattle on the seafront. I've always found their stuff to be very sort of bitter and over roasted. But moving swiftly on.
Yeah, shall we?
Yes.
Okay. So what has happened this week? The story that's emerged this week is that the Starbucks South Korea have banned large appliances, large bulky computing devices from their stores. So they said that people are very welcome still to bring in their personal phones and their laptops and to work on those, but basically to be respectful to others in the environment. And this is it's opened up a whole new area of interest for me, because actually, come on, that seems like a very logical thing to do. And just imagine taking a desktop PC to a Starbucks. That just seems insane. Although I do see very, very antisocial behaviour in coffee shops in the UK. Like people, one person sitting at a 4-person table in a Cafe Nero that constantly happens, and so other people arrive a bit later, have to squeeze around one table. Anyway, so yes, we're not immune to this behaviour. But anyway, in South Korea, they have a term for such people, which are gargongjok. Which I apologise to any native South Koreans listening to that. But that is a portmanteau, basically, which means cafe study tribe in South Korean. And the tribe bit is apparently a little bit derogatory. So this is it's partly a culture because apparently in South Korea there was a big culture of tea rooms and just chatting there and having a good old exchange of information, and this is carried on into the modern world, into the modern world of Starbucks, and especially post-pandemic Starbucks, when people are now having to work outside of the central offices because so many central offices have closed. So yes, that is where we are. And now I will turn to the floor for a comment from Darian Graham-Smith.
I think this is a slight misrepresentation, possibly even a slightly clickbaity one. I mean, I'm sure they have banned the use of desktop computers in Starbucks, but I don't think that's what's been happening. I've been having a quick look around. I think this is actually people bringing laptops, but also big displays and external keyboards, which is slightly more believable, slightly more transportable, and makes a lot more sense if you understand it as a sort of an extension of the WeWork shared space idea. I'm sure we've all seen people taking, probably high-level confidential meetings in Cafe Nero or whatever in the past few years. That appears to be what's happening here. So I find it, having discovered this, I find it a lot more believable that people are doing it. The one that actually gets me, it's not the idea of the tower system, which I think is probably like very, very rare. People are probably only doing that to make a point or to be silly. But there are some photos of people who've actually brought partitions, dungeon master screens they can put around their workspace to stop other people seeing what they're working on. That, I think, is a degree of, well, I don't know what the Korean is for chutzpah, but...
John, do you have a view on this?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because we like to celebrate work from home and all the benefits and good things of that. And as you say, a lot of companies have been shutting down their central town offices and city offices. And some people do just need to get out of their house because you can go a bit stir crazy if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to go to your local coffee shop or pub or whatever. I think pubs should be offering tables and power sockets and coffee and so forth, and turning themselves into a workspace during the day. This doesn't really work very well with the likes of a Cafe Nero or whatever, which should be much more transitory. For people coming through, having a quick coffee, maybe a quick catch up with some friends, and then leaving. Part of the problem, you could argue, is that they really shouldn't be putting out big tables in these places. Little pod tables to put your coffee on and your croissant or whatever it is you're having should be all that there is. I would actually call a ban on even for laptop working, and certainly not provide power sockets really. But of course, the modern days of Snapdragon Windows laptops and Apple M processor, you can have a whole working day on a laptop now without needing a socket. So I wouldn't want them to get into this whole you can only stay here for 60 minutes as sort of like a car park kind of thing. That would be, but it's just a matter of rudeness really, and unfortunately there are a lot of people who seem to be very rude.
I'm going to rudely stop you there. Well, no, you stopped. Roche, what do you think?
So it was something that Darian said about it. He thought that the story was a bit clickbaity, and I thought it was kind of along the lines of, Ryanair's guerrilla marketing tactics, where they're like, oh, we're going to remove all of the seats and you'll have to stand, and everyone goes, oh my God, and then it's on the radio and it's like endless news cycles, and it's like Ryanair, and then it's kind of like, we fly to Stavanger for £1. So like we've been talking about Starbucks, and John's perfectly right, it's bitter, it's bitter and over roasted. Costa, on the other hand, get your Costa. No, I've just turned it into more.
No, don't get me started on Costa. I really can't stand Costa coffee.
I agree. I much prefer Starbucks myself.
No, I don't really like Starbucks
either. £3 something for a coffee. Really?
Well, it's not a value
but they're
proposition,
charging you
is it?
for rent. There's
true.
rent. So I wonder how much of this is just like kind of guerrilla marketing and get everybody talking about, and kind of clickbaity. Because look, how difficult is it for a manager to say to somebody, hi, you've been here quite a while, we're going to have to start charging you rent, or you're going to have to buy something else or leave. Come on. Like, you could send a child to send that message, strap on a pair. I don't know.
I was just going to say, I mean, I don't know what things are like in Korea, but I think they're really trying to minimize confrontations. They're trying to make the staff as, just in general, in retail, certainly in the UK, I think they're telling staff not to do anything which might result in, any kind of inflaming any situation, because they can't, they just can't guarantee their safety, and they don't have the manpower. You say a manager, but I don't remember the last time I went into Starbucks and saw anybody wearing a label saying manager. I think that's unfortunately not where we're at now.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So we've moved from one slightly possibly vapid story to one we're going to move to a very meaty story now. Now, Roche, I know you've got feelings of this, so please explain what has happened.
Okay. So I don't even know where to start. I think I'm going to start with the purpose of the Online Safety Act. So just sort of like very briefly, 30,000 foot view. It is to protect children to combat CSAM, child sexual abuse material. It is to improve online safety for children and adults. It's to shift responsibility onto the platforms, and it's to hold tech companies accountable. So, good. We can all agree that the purpose of the Online Safety Act, but as with everything, getting it from idea to execution is not always friction free. Enter the Wikipedia case. Now, I'm going to say this from the start. I do not know the judge. No, it is brilliant.
For those that just listening, I mean, Roche just did the heart symbol and did call me, the other symbol. So, so you don't know this judge that you secretly love and want to call you.
No, I don't. No, I've gone really embarrassed. That was supposed to be a joke. But
do you have feelings for the judge?
Can I tell you what? The man is just brilliant. It is a brilliant judgment. It is balanced, it's fair, it's pragmatic. It is a masterclass in judicial excellence. It is, critical thinking, impartiality. Now, if you're not happy with the decision, that doesn't rest with the judge. Let me just clear that straight up. This isn't a story where the judiciary have got it wrong. The judge was absolutely right in the decision that he made. Okay, so the problem is political, but I think that it is easily, that we can sidetrack this. There's so much in this story. Okay, so if Ofcom classifies Wikipedia as a Category 1 platform, then there's some real trouble, because then they'll be forced to verify the identity of every contributor, which, that sort of breaks the model, and it would undermine editor privacy and stuff. Oh, I have an I Edit Wiki t-shirt anyway. Okay, just edit that.
Don't worry. I think this story is meandering enough without us going into what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Crack on.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So Wikipedia, if you accept that Wikipedia is a net public good, then and it's worth saving and stuff like that, then it absolutely can. In the outcome on the final 2 pages, the judge signposts to Wikipedia's lawyers how they could circumvent this. One of them, because if Ofcom decides that it's not Category 1, there is no problem. If it does decide it's Category 1, there are options available to Wikimedia to be able to question that decision and then potentially appeal it. And he also very so what the judge did was he gave them the cause of action. So one of their claims was dismissed because under the Human Rights Act, which is one of the things that Wikipedia relied on, well, human is the operative word in that, and these companies are not humans, and so then they had no standing under those articles to bring it. However, that is all dealt with really nicely. The alternatives are laid out in the clearest terms. I do not see this being a problem. I think that the politicians. So one of the arguments was that that the Parliament must never have intended that not-for-profits be captured in this, and the judge. The judge said no, that's not the case, and actually there's really good policy reasons why you don't want to do it, because you don't want to create a loophole for nation states who are like, so tech platforms have to do it, but if we were to create a sort of a charitable arm, we could then deliver bad content or disinformation through these other charitable not-for-profit platforms. So he dismissed that, and that's really sound reasoning there. There's lots of options. I think in all likelihood that Ofcom will classify it and then, or like reclassify it, and then this won't actually be an issue. But it's for anyone who's in the law tech space, the judgment itself is worth reading in full. There you go.
And so I think, just to put this into some perspective, so his basic judgment was.
So his basic judgment was, okay, so on the arguments that were advanced, that Wikipedia and Wikimedia were not successful. However, he said it doesn't stop there. It also doesn't give a green light to the Department of Innovation and Science and whatnot to then just flagrantly overlook such things as, like, the right to free speech, right, which anyway has been protected by the UK Supreme Court, and we all know about that. And so what he did was he said, right, on the arguments as they've been advanced, no. However, these are alternative avenues, but none of them may be necessary if Ofcom comes back and doesn't classify Wikipedia as a Category 1.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Darian, your thoughts. I believe you are a Wikipedia contributor.
No, but that's all right. I use it quite a lot. I'm really conflicted about this. I mean, I guess it really boils down to, because the Online Safety Act has really been represented kind of by non-experts online, including, journalists who perhaps ought to know better. It's really been represented as an anti-porn act, but it does go much deeper than that. It does obviously kind of cut through to any kind of situation where, I mean, I think on the government website it says services that allow users to post content online or to interact with each other. Well, that is like 99% of the web. So if I understand correctly kind of the intentions behind it, it does seem kind of right that Wikipedia should be included, because it is a place where many, many people, myself included, as I've mentioned, go to looking for authoritative information. So if we care about online safety, that has to mean, I shouldn't be picking up stuff which could be dangerous. And also, I shouldn't be inadvertently exposed to illegal material. Roche mentioned CSAM, for example. I've never, I think it's uncontroversial to say I've never sought it out, but if you ever went on 4chan back in the day, there was lots of joking about how, oh yes, if you scroll down, you'll see such and such. And I was like, I don't want to see that. I'm closing this tab now. And it does make you wonder, could you end up on the list just because someone was having a laugh from a jurisdiction that doesn't care about such things? So as I say, I am conflicted. On the one hand, I can really see the Wikipedia, part of its usefulness, its strength, its specialness is its kind of, without fear or favor, availability to everybody to share their truth, their expertise, their experience, and rely on, the vast ranks of very eager editors and deleters to keep the quality level up. But yeah, I mean, if online safety means anything, it has to connect to Wikipedia in some way.
Oh no, Roche disagrees.
So yeah, so I would differentiate, and I would distinguish between the different platforms. So what's the purpose of Wikipedia? It's an educational tool. It's a free encyclopedia, and for all intents and purposes, apart from a couple of errors here and there, that is precisely what it delivers on. What it says it's going to do is what it does. So if we were to start to see constraints on Wikipedia, I would then think that the judge's point in his outcome, that this could be a jeopardy to freedom of expression, that isn't the exact wording, but that's basically the ballpark, is what I would worry about. And I would worry about it in the context of, we've got newspapers shutting down right across the UK. There are some news outlets that are less credible now for whatever reason. There's certain agendas and things which you can unpick. Look, you've got your conservatives, then you've got your sort of less conservative. And so Wikipedia to just be a fact-based platform is incredibly useful, especially because it's free. And I want to see this continue. I do edit it. I've long been an advocate and have encouraged students. If you can find an answer on Wikipedia, then you haven't done enough work, right? Or if somebody is giving you an answer that they could have got on at Wikipedia, then you're not able to add enough value. So I'm a big fan of Wikipedia. I don't think that, like, pound for pound, the stuff that we're really trying to avoid, the misinformation, the disinformation, we know where that happens. Now, to Darian's point about CSAM, I don't know what channels that happens on, but they should be just shut down. Like, so we need to do something. We tried this. It's not perfect, but if with a couple of tweaks and moving forward, we can protect freedom of expression, which is crucial for a democratic country.
Yep.
And we can also at least shut down part of the fire hose of like disgusting content that is reaching children and also, adults, let's face it.
Yeah. John, do you have any view on this before we move on?
We sort of covered this a few weeks ago when the legislation came into force. I remember Roche and I banging heads about it. No one of any reasonableness is going to want to continue some of the really quite unpleasantness that the internet has turned into. The problem is always the freedom of speech argument and my right to do something on this public global utility. And balancing that is always going to be extremely difficult, and there will be things that will fall on the wrong side. I mean, Twitter itself is absolutely filled with porn. You don't have to go searching very hard across Twitter X to find some quite revolting stuff. But I understand that they've been implementing this child authentication stuff now on Twitter. I don't know what the answer is. Well, I have got actually a very good idea what the answer is, but that's kind of for a series of 5 podcasts. But I agree with Roche that anything that can be done to help cut the majority of stuff out is going to be a good thing. The problem is whether actually it's going to do that. I mean, there's the whole stories about massive uptake of VPN software use by people. I think is interesting, and at what point does it turn into a sort of a grand whack-a-mole that doesn't actually really deliver what's required, and the debris on the side of the road of the likes of the Wikipedia this week and who knows what next week and so on and so forth becomes almost intolerable. I don't know what the answer is. We cannot stay where we are. That's absolutely, or where we were in a sense before this came in. That was not sustainable at all. I mean, in fact, you could almost argue it's astonishing that it's lasted for the 30-something odd years that this platform has been in play for the most users rather than the nerds of us who were there before. The problem I have is if you're not careful, this turns into a we must do something, this is something, therefore we must do it. And I think the next 6, 9, 12 months of this is really going to be make and break on this. And if it doesn't work, and if it doesn't actually demonstrably start protecting children in the children point of view, let alone, I mean, there's all the other issues about self-harm and so forth. If it actually doesn't achieve what it's set out to do, it's going to be potentially a very big mess.
Yep, Roche.
So I agree with everything that John has said. I would also say, like, look, children are adults, parents are responsible for, children's health. Like, you can't overfeed them, you can't underfeed them, because otherwise you're met with social services. So parents need to step up. Why they would be allowing their children to get like VPNs when you're trying to shut this down. So we can't, at the risk of becoming a nanny state, there are certain things that the government can and should do, and then there's certain things that parents should do. And we're starting to see, I think, schools saying, you know what, we're going to be like a mobile-free zone. So that all of these steps, they're incremental and we're layering it out. I think they can only be for good. I'm not expecting this to be a panacea. This suddenly it's like, oh wow, look, we've seen it. But I do think that if we catch the next set of young people and we're able to reduce the harmful content they're able to see, we might see that then in 10 years time when you have teenagers who are not as anxious, who are not as sort of introverted, or, you know, all of those attendant issues that they have. So look, is it perfect? No. Is anything anyone has ever done perfect? No. It's a step forward. We tweak as we go. It's progress.
All right, thank you. Talking of tweaking as we go, let's tweak this agenda, because we seem to have got to 1:45 with quite a bit still to cover. So, Darian, you've previously said to me you didn't think there's much to say about the Intel stuff. So let's see how quickly you can cover the final story.
Sure. Well, it's not really Intel stuff, it's Trump stuff. And the reason we can cover it quickly is because there's no substance to it. Basically, this is a two-parter, and they're both as... Well, actually, the second one is not flimsy at all, but we can dispatch it very quickly. The first part is that Donald Trump on, I think it was last Thursday, the 7th of August, declared on, what was it, his Fisher-Price Twitter knockoff, Truth Social, he declared that Lip Bhutan, the CEO of Intel, is, quote, highly conflicted and must resign immediately. And then he signed off with this strange kind of thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. I don't know where that comes from. This makes the whole thing a bit more laughable. Then it seems he had a meeting with Lip Bhutan, and 4 days later he posted on the exact same platform, I met with Mr. Lip Bhutan of Intel. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. The meeting was a very interesting one. His success and rise is an amazing story. Mr. Tan and my cabinet members are going to spend time together and bring suggestions to me during the next week. It's like he just forgot what happened the previous week. And it really makes me worry for the people like Mr. Lip Bhutan, who are trying to run multi-billion-dollar corporations in this incredibly volatile, totally just crazy environment.
Roche, very quickly.
Okay, so look, I'm not a Trump fan, but that man forgives himself of his mistakes so quickly. And this is not new, by the way. Just, I have to tell you this. So he was on Larry King like about 20 years ago. And Larry King said, oh, you know, this company went bust that you had. And he said, yeah. He's like, yeah, I made a mistake. And I was like, Jesus, like I've had nights where I haven't been able to sleep because I've misspoke, and this guy has just like wasted 200 million. I think we could all do with being a little bit more Trump. You know,
a little,
you get things
maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, be a bit more confident, maybe. Be a bit more forgiving when we make a mistake, and then just be prepared to move on. Today is a new day.
You're 100% right, Roche. Okay, and what's the second part of the story?
Well, the second part is in April, the Trump administration banned the sales of AI chips to China for what it, I'm sure, argued were good, sensible national security reasons. But now it's decided that is going to be allowed as long as NVIDIA and AMD pay a 20% cut to the US government. And there was a meeting in which, head Jensen Huang managed, Trump said, he managed to beat me down to 15%. So now they're basically just paying, you can look at this as saying they're just paying a bribe to the administration to let them do what they want to do and make money out of China. Or you could say, government regulation is actually a good thing. The US needs more tax take. This is a smart way to get it if the money is in fact coming from overseas, unlike their crazy tariffs. So I'm a bit mixed up on how I feel about all this. It's also, to be fair to the US, it's not this state-of-the-art AI chips which they're allowing to be exported. It's the H20, not the latest Blackwell stuff. So it seems that someone has advised Trump that there's probably no great danger of China overtaking the US in AI using these particular chips. But yeah, I'm not 100% certain that this isn't smart, but I'm also not 100% certain that this isn't larceny. So I'm not quite sure what to tell you.
Quick viewpoint from you, John?
Sorry, I had my mute on there. Tariffs. No one wins. All that happens is prices go up, and the pieces get moved around on the chessboard. It's all a mess. That's all I have to say.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, for the whole of this podcast on Discord, so you can always join us, by the way, on pcpro.link/Discord, we have had people chomping at the bit saying, why aren't you talking about the end of dial-up? So Darian, I'm going to promote that to the top of the nibs. If you could just explain what's happening here.
Just to shut up the discorders. Yes, it's true. We have a date. I think it's the 20th of September. It's about it's next month. That's AOL is discontinuing dial-up access, and I know this will be a blow to all those of us who are still using it. But no, there are some. I think I saw a figure that about 16,000 people in the US are using it out of a population of 300 million. Do you know how long this dial-up service has been running? Anybody?
Ooh, 1986, something like that.
32 years.
John, do you want to?
AOL, I would have said somewhere around 1990-ish.
Okay, well, I think there's glory to be had for everyone here, because Tim's guess was very close in that the service itself started in 1985 under the name Quantum Link, and it ran on the Commodore 64, but it did rebrand to AOL in 1989. So John was very close, and that is almost exactly 32 years ago. So good work, everyone. Yes, it started much before.
What about, hang on a second, you said all of us. What about Roche?
That's almost exactly 32 years ago.
Okay.
Not almost exactly 32, it's more like 36, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, damn it.
I was in the
Was this just a
ballpark.
floating point rounding error or something?
It was.
Okay.
No, I to be honest, I've lived through so many years now, I get them mixed up. I apologise. Sorry, Roche. I tried to accidentally give you some.
Thank you.
Anyway, yes, so that's quite impressive. That is now, I'll have to check my working on this one. That is 40 years, right, that they've been running this dial-up service, long before the famous internet, the famous internet came online. So it is the end of an era, but I think we're, one of those things where we all actually moved on long ago. So we can clink glasses to happy days on AOL, if indeed we ever had them, but really that era is long gone.
Okay, I'm just going to briefly cover a nib that actually isn't in the lineup at all, but I've just decided it's more interesting. There is the National Drought Group has issued a press release, this is in the UK, to say that people should delete files to save water going to data centres, which, as best I can understand it, is a massive misunderstanding of how storage works. Because storage just sits there, and especially because almost all of the data center storage, I believe, and John, I may be wrong on this, but an awful lot of it is still using mechanical hard disks. So I suppose you could argue if you got rid of a huge load of files, you would reduce the number of hard disks, so that would reduce electricity. What do you think? Do they have a point?
I think it's one of those very tenuous things, It's I mean, yes, if we all stored less rubbish, then there will be less cloud storage required. I could kind of see how you get from A to B, but I'm not sure how this is going to help the salmon in the salmon brook, or your hosepipe ban. I think that really is going a bit far. Maybe actually making some more reservoirs and not taking the 70 billion or whatever out of the water industry might have helped.
I've got to massively apologise to Roche because I just accidentally stole her story. So, such is the level of professionalism in the story. Do you have any prepared statements you'd like to make, Roche?
No, but I will say this for the Environment Agency. It was like on a fairly long list of things, that people needed to do, and then suddenly it's the headline. And you know what? Fair play to Environment Agency for doing their own little bit of guerrilla marketing to bring the fact that we need to do the hosepipe ban, and by the way, also do the emails. Look, the stories that we've covered today, it's like everybody understands how to get stuff viral, right?
Yeah.
So, keep the stuff normal, and throw something in wacky. You've got your headline.
Okay, and so people don't feel shortchanged. This is the third nib, the original one that I just accidentally spiked, which is that Google is rolling out a new feature that it calls preferred sources in the US and India. Quite well, it's not in the UK, I do not know, but this will allow you to select your preferred choices of news sites and blogs to be shown in the top stories of Google's search results. So there you go. If you're listening to this in America or India, then you can do such a thing, possibly even in the UK. Right, John, you have the hot hardware, and the great news is, as we have 6 minutes left, this is possibly the simplest ever item and possibly cheapest that we've had on hot hardware. So please let us know what it is.
Well, it's certainly the cheapest thing that I've ever done on hot hardware. How about that? By
Yeah,
probably
you
several
have.
orders of magnitude. I needed a table stand for a tablet for some R&D work testing Wi-Fi. So I just wanted a nice simple little desk stand. Now, of course, I'd love to have one made out of titanium and skeletal and beautiful machined loveliness, but this is from Amazon Basics. It is actually branded Amazon Basics. And if I can sort of show on screen here, you sort of open it, and it comes apart, and you can then put your tablet or big phone or whatever straight onto the stand, and it holds it. And it's really good, and it just works. It's got nice bits of padding in there to hold things so they don't move around. I've put big tablets in it. I've put one of the 14-inch Samsung big super wide tablets on it. I've put iPad Pro. I put smaller tablets on it. It's great. And the fabulous thing about this is it's £7.26 plus VAT, £8.71. In fact, actually, when I bought it, I think it was about £1 cheaper. So that's just some of your rampant inflation going on. But it's well under a tenner. It's well under. It's well under the cost of a couple of pints down the pub, and it folds up and it just will go straight in your bag. It weighs next to nothing because it's a nice bit of really strong plastic. It feels really well made, and it just does exactly what it says on the tin. And at £8.71 including VAT, I think you really can't go wrong with this. And I'm afraid to say there's almost nothing else to say about it.
Well, I was going to say, are there any questions?
Does it support 6 gigahertz?
Yes. The only thing you may need to watch out for, of course, if you put a tablet on, like in portrait mode, because of course you can make the feet narrower and closer together for a portrait mode. You might need to think about your cable routing if you're trying to get a USB-C plug in the bottom. So you might need to look at a sort of a right-handed USB-C plug to go into the bottom.
Yeah.
But hell's bells, that's not exactly a terribly big problem, is it?
Well, it could be if it stops you using it in portrait mode.
Yeah, I was just trying to think if there was any kind of form factors that it wouldn't work with. Because I know, for example, there's a Lenovo series that have a very thick edge so that they're designed to be held in one hand. But I guess if you wanted to stand that up, you just turn it upside down.
Well, yeah, but and also there's no sort of lip here at where it sits down. It's just a rubberized surface there to stop it slipping around. So you could put something really quite thick in there.
John, I have thought of a question. How compact does it fold down if I want to take this with me on my travels?
It is pretty small. You can see it here in my hand. I can get my hand around it like that. It's not exactly big. The dimensiones, I believe, are on the Amazon page for it, called Amazon Basics Adjustable Tablet Stand, black.
And as you say, a princely £8.71. Roche, how do you feel about this? Do you want? Do you have questions for John? Do you want to just go straight into the voting?
Sure. I have no questions.
What?
No.
That seems surprising.
I mean, it's so elementary. It's difficult to get excited about. It works, like the man says. It would be nice. I wish people could move away from black a little bit so that we could have funky stuff. Also, so that it's easier to retrieve if it's in a box of stuff afterwards. And it's like, oh, I've got to find that orange thing. That's great. But no, apart from that, £8.71, you can't go wrong. I'll take 2. Good.
Okay.
Hot.
All right. Will you literally take 2? Are you actually going to place the orders?
No, I literally don't care. I could feel myself losing the will to live.
Darian?
Yeah, I don't have 2 tablets, but I to be honest, I don't really have a purpose for one. But it's that sort of thing that I can really see myself buying it just in case a day comes when I really want to sit back on the sofa and watch my tablet from afar. By the way, I did look. I think this is the cheapest thing John's ever presented, certainly, and quite possibly the cheapest we've had. I was just racking my memory. There was the Surface Adaptive Kit, which I think John.
I did that, yes, and that was only about £4 or £5. And I seem to remember that was a really delightfully well-designed bit of laptop tablet add-on from Microsoft, wasn't it?
That's right, but I think they might have souped it up a bit because it's now £15, so this takes the crown.
Yeah.
Are you hot or are you not, Darian?
Oh, we're doing that, are we?
We need a vote.
I think it's. I mean, hot is a bit much to say for a folding bit of plastic, but I can't really criticise it, so I guess it'll have to be hot. Yes.
Okay, John.
Oh, I think it's hot. I mean, it's what my sort of elders in my family used to call a thing of purpose. Yeah, it does exactly what its thing. It doesn't do anything else. Doesn't pretend to do anything else. Yes, it would be fun if you could have it in sort of lime green or something. I take the point, Roche. But aren't most sort of Amazon Basics things, aren't they mostly sort of very boring blacks and greys and stuff like that? So I mean, I think it's exactly what I needed at a price point that was at the level where, you know, if you do put it in a bag and lose it down the bottom of the bag or whatever, at £7 or whatever, I know Mr. Lee will be very upset with me for the sort of the wastage point of view, but it is the sort of thing where you can afford to have a few of them, pop them around the house, and throw one in your bag and leave one in the glove box in your car or something, because it's so cheap. It's actually made in Taiwan. So there you go. Not the usual China, although we'll argue that Taiwan is part of China, of course.
Let's not get into a political debate. At
1
this
minute
point
past
in time.
2. Perfect time to dig into that.
Okay, I will give it a reluctant hot. Like many others here, I do not share a passion for this particular product, but I do think the only thing I'd add is that if you do sling that into your case, have a mini keyboard, have a travel mouse, then you've got your tablet, you suddenly do have a little working environment.
This could be perfect for Starbucks in Seoul.
Someone's already made that joke on Discord.
have
They
they?
beat me to it.
Bloody
I'm really
Discorders.
sorry. But yeah. So it's a clean sweep of hot. I think. Oh, hang on a second, Roche. Were you hot or were you just disgusted?
No, I'm not. So I'm hot, but
You're
it's-
hot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not really hot. We understand. On Discord, we've got 70%, 30% votes in favour. So, John, goes into your long list of successes. Congratulations.
we
Ian
just-
Rutson says he thinks he's found the same thing for a £5. Looking at it, it's not the same item.
happens
But
a
I mean,
lot on
functionally,
Amazon.
yes, I agree. It's very close, and maybe this one's even better at a £5.
Okay. Well, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. So maybe, Darian, you can put that on the show links, that the thing that could have been good but wasn't.
I'm not going to do that. But I do want to just say thank you to Running Duck for setting up the poll this week, which saved us all a job, and then unthank you for getting to the Starbucks joke before me. So,
Yeah.
so we're neutral.
Okay, and I forgot to plug the latest issue of PC Pro last week. Lee told me off. This is what it looks like. So it's got Windows 11, all your questions answered on the front cover. It's also got a fantastic root test of 22 monitors. That was written by me. I lost quite a bit of my life to that. And along with many other marvellous features. For example, actually, Barry wrote a great feature about how Wi-Fi works at venues. We've got an article about enhancing your photos and videos with, of course, AI. And that's quite apart from the magnificent columns written by Roche and John and Davey and Steve and Lee. So, buy this issue of PC Pro and keep the podcast alive. It's not actually directly related, but do buy the PC Pro. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Until our next podcast in a week's time, it's goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Alrighty. Thank you,
Oh,
everyone.
that's so much fun. Can I tell
That
you
was a
what?
good
I
one,
know
wasn't
this- Yeah, I was thinking, I bet their teeth are itching because it was kind of wild. But I love it when it's, when there's like ping pong back and forth.
No, so I think podcasts are always best when people actually do talk over each other a bit. It's just that's like a conversation. It's like a conversation you get in the pub, as opposed to
Yeah.
people reading from their prepared arguments, and that's more like a court case, I guess. Roche, have you
Yeah.
never done such a thing?
Yeah, I mean,
But-
some people do read their arguments, but yeah, no, it was great fun, and I just wanted to say that. But I thought that I would say that, and you would all go, oh, especially Darian. For some reason, I had you down as going, oh my God, could he not keep it on track? Where's the discipline?
Sorry.
So
Are you saying that's what you thought I would think?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Oh my God, this man is slowly dying inside because of the ping ponging. That's just what. Yeah.
I don't mind as long as it's interesting. I think it's much more important to be interesting than to be on topic.
Yeah.
I do kind of if something goes long because somebody's really got into the weeds of a technical matter and there's no discussion. Sometimes I might sort of. I don't have any way of communicating that. Actually, I'll just sit here and sip my coffee.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have a sign. Maybe we should have some sort of tell.
Yes, I'll hold up a thing saying speed it up and wind it up.
I wasn't actually
Wrong.
Maybe placards are a good idea. Actually, we could all just have our
Bar humbug.
Oh yeah.
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 And there are the raise thing. Actually, do you know what? We've never done this, have we? But there is a raise hand thing in Riverside.
There is. I don't really want to have to interact with my laptop, though. I prefer to just put it there and then.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
We could just raise your hand if that's the effect.
Well,
you
that's
want.
what I do,
Yeah.
So, but you raised a really interesting point at the top of it where you said like we could do an hour on this. Like actually, an hour on that ChatGPT thing would have been. I thought like there was so much stuff that we could have.
Yeah, we
Would
used to
we
do
ever do
podcast
that?
specials very, very occasionally for like an event
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we definitely can do. It's that's a trade-off, isn't it? In terms of you're losing the other stories that week, and
Yeah, it's
whether
the
that
variety.
matters.
I think maybe if
Would
an
it be-
AI story comes along that has enough angles, and if like the chair just makes a note of some different topics to,
Yeah,
to
you'd need
touch
some
on, so it does
structure,
keep
yeah.
it moving, I think that would be cromulent.
Well, there is actually a podcast coming up with me, Roche, and Olivia, isn't there?
Is there?
Podcast availability?
28th?
Yeah, on the 28th
Yeah, that's
of
28th.
August. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm laughing because I opted out of that one because I'm going on holiday the next day, and the person I'm going on the holiday with is Olivia, but she obviously feels more. I suppose because she would
Why
have to
don't-
do production, so.
Where are you going?
We're
Oh,
going
so
to
the
Central
wife
Park.
has to say.
Is that we could put this out also to our podsterons as to is there a topic that actually we could do a big blast.
Oh God, I wouldn't ask them.
I would.
You are still live.
Also-
Well,
By the way-
some of them
Yeah, we
are
are
still
still live,
listening because this is still
Can I-
live.
No, I'm just saying, Roche.
Right.
If you want to do
Should we?
three-way head-to-head or something on a
Yeah,
topic
yeah,
as
yeah.
topic for
You
the
can
whole
do it,
hour.
yeah.
I mean, provided Tim approves, because after all, he is nominated
No.
boss.
I don't like. Yeah, let's do a bit of experimentation. Why not? Someone needs to edit that. That's the only thing about the 28th because I'm not around. So we just need to work out who is going to edit that thing.
I have never.
What
done
is
that.
it? When you say edit, do you mean top and
Yes.
tail, or do you mean actually edit?
Oh well, you have to just go in and check for. There are set. Darian knows this far better than I, but yes, it does need a clean, basically. Otherwise, if you just rely on the automatically generated podcast that Riverside pumps out, it's not great.
There-
I mean,
yeah,
I
there
can
is-
push it through Descript. Descript is brilliant.
What's that? Is this an AI-powered tool that can save me an hour every week?
God.
Oh, there's a whole podcast
wait! I'm
about to
saving
happen.
it for hot. I'm going to save it for hot hardware.
Do.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Oh, again. Oh.
Descript, okay.
Oh, hang on. $24 a month?
Bargain.
Have you got it, Roche? Do you use it already?
Yeah.
Oh.
I used to use it a lot, but I haven't had a need for it to use it because I used to do podcasts with a company, and then I was doing.
okay.
It was just, oh my God, it's amazing. Oh, can I give you a
It looks
preview?
like a
Oh,
lot of its
because-
features are video-oriented, which is good, but not
No,
so
but can I
necessary
tell
for
you
us.
what? Actually, it's
Please
really
do.
good for. It's really good for. So what it does is it converts our chat to text, and then and then you just edit the text. So, for example, it would be really easy to go in and where I was being daft about the T-shirt and just go, right, take all of that out, and then it will just lift it out.
I can absolutely see where that would be amazingly useful, but that's not quite the workflow that I use for this, because I try to leave all the chat in, because I think it's like it gives it a bit of personality. And what I instead try to do is just tidy up, like if someone's talked over someone or if someone's stumbled over their words, which is a bit harder to do.
Hang on a second. We stumbled over our words. That seems difficult to believe.
Never, damn it.
Well, sometimes,
But how do you?
if
But
there's a
Darian, how do
special
you
guest.
do it? Do you listen and then cut on the?
I'm keeping timestamps all through the podcast
Oh
of any
my
time there's anything I
God.
want to review. And then
Okay.
what I do is I download all 4 audio tracks and I just apply a bit of gating and I normalize the volume. And I've got a plugin which de-reverbs. It's called Acon Deverberate. Which just like makes it sound a little bit. It's AI powered, but it's good. It makes it sound a little bit like more like we're in a proper professional studio, even if some people have like quite boomy rooms. And then then I just jump to the timestamps and have a quick listen. And if there's anything that I don't like, I just snip it out. Then all I have to do is export the mix down, and then put that through the levelator to sort out the volumes. Then load that into Ocean Audio to go and put in the ad break halfway through. Check the start and end are okay. Then I go into KID 3 to get the metadata, which comes from, so I take the last week's metadata and just copy that and update the text. Obviously I write the title and the blurb. Then you go into Captivate and upload it there. That spends ages like checking the file is okay. All you have to do then is paste in the metadata and tell it the timestamp for the ad and then hit publish. So I'm normally done by about 4 or 5 o'clock.
Okay, so I withdraw unequivocally my offer to.
But
Well,
no,
you-
that's just how Darian does it. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be done exactly like
No,
that. There are some unskippable steps. And the problem that Lee and I have both faced when we try to do it is that the tool Captivate, is it Captivate? I
Yeah,
can't
the
remember.
platform. Captivate's
platform,
rubbish.
yeah. Captivate just rejects it for no. It says it gives you random messages.
The
about-
error message was written by someone who doesn't understand the error. That is very apparent, and it's incredibly unhelpful when you've got people who aren't like confident audio experts trying to understand why it's giving them basically the wrong message. It says the LUF level is wrong. What I think it must mean is that the LUFS are not consistent enough over the right period. And what it really means is make the quieter parts louder. But I don't know why it doesn't just say that.
Yep. All right. Well, I think it might be time for supper.
Yes, I've got a little bit of podcast editing to do later, so I'm going to love you and leave you now. Thanks all.
All right. See you soon.
See
Till
you.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Right.